Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Bossy. I am outside at the cemetery with one of my journals. Just going to take a couple of minutes to write. And I want to talk to you about being a creative. I can see that there is rain coming in from this direction. I'm going to open up the compass on my phone. Did you know that our phones have a compass? You probably did. Coming in from the southwest, some rain. I'm about to just write for a couple of minutes, and then I want to talk with you about something. Even though I've had teachers tell me essentially don't write anything down, just keep everything in your mind, just try to remember the best you can, I don't agree with that shit, and I don't like it at all. I don't agree with that. I don't like it at all because we don't keep records. We don't write these things down. We don't collect the photographs and the video and the audio for ourselves alone. Your memory can often be relied upon, but sometimes it just can't. Sometimes you need to be able to reference and look back. So you do it for yourself, of course, but we are also doing this for the ones who come after us. You don't want to keep having to start from scratch. And now that we have access to so many different tools, like these tools are common now. 100, 200 years ago, that would not have been the case. That you can record your voice, you can take photographs, you can take video with the device you hold in your hands. Some of y'all all damn day, 16 hours a day, and then sleep with right beside your face on the pillow, even though that's dangerous, guys. So don't sleep with the phone in the bed. But you have this device with you at all times that you could be using to keep a record. The reason it's easy for me to consistently write and make note, even when I think I'm making note of something, there's like a family of ducks that just ran by. Even when I'm making note of something that I feel is kind of silly or entirely too personal to commit to paper, I still do. Because I think about the types of things that I would have wanted to be able to look back at, read, review, listen to. From my own foremothers and forebears, and things that weren't photographs, video, audio of them. Like I would love to have like a playlist of my mother's favorite songs. I would love to have a collection of my grandmother's favorite books and a cache of my great grandmother's favorite recipes, with her handwritten notes of, instead of just 1 teaspoon of this, actually add 3 teaspoons. You know what I mean? I would love to be able to connect to them that way. And so many of us, I think, lack that kind of record. We lack those writings and those audios and those recordings. So we can't go back. I wanted to get up close to tell you that fucking sucks too, that we can't go back. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we can? And isn't it great that now we're the ones in a position to ensure that our descendants can go back? So, I have a notebook and I remember my ancestors and I think about them. And I think about specifically the ancestors who were poets and writers, the ones who had stories just brimming and brewing inside of them, and who maybe told those stories maybe around a fire late at night or to help the children get to sleep at night, but maybe didn't have extra pens and paper laying around to write these things down. Or maybe the people who loved a good story and maybe hoped and wished that they didn't have to sit around and wait for somebody to get in the mood to tell a story. People who probably would have been collector of books, people who love color and paint and pretty pictures, and people who would have loved to capture their ideas and their experiences on audio and video and photography. And I think about that a lot. And so I find it impossible to take for granted the fact that I have these tools, I have access to these materials to do it. And I think that when you start in a practice of venerating your ancestors and really just taking time to think about the sacrifices that they made so that we could have access to certain things, so that I could sit here in a public place unharassed, unbothered. I think about these freedoms and how I really, really want them to not only remain available to all of us, but expand to everyone on the planet. And I want these rights to be held as sacred, because they are, and also to be recognized as a divine right, a human right for all of us. As much as you want to develop your mind, your body, your heart, your thinking, your art, you should be afforded the space, the time, and the material resources to do so. That's what I believe. And I think that that would be entirely possible if we were committed to creating not only a world, but a society where people's basic needs are handled. Now, we're going through a lot of shit right now in our country, in the United States of America. And I think that when the government, which is a human creation, and I think that the purpose of government should be to support the development of the society, the development of the people, to help us exist in harmony and peace, to help us to stay safe, to help us resolve any conflict and issues that we may have on an individual basis or on like a community basis or whatever. But to strip us of our rights, the rights that we were born with, I think that when the government starts fucking up, acting up, cutting up, and tripping, that it becomes our responsibility as citizens to remind them that we are in a voluntary relationship with them, and that we will act the fuck up and cut the fuck up as well. And I think it becomes our responsibility to ourselves, to our children, to our own futures, and to upholding the purpose of government in the first place, which is service to the fucking people, to support us, to serve us, to protect us, and to help promote civilization and expansion, through education and health and the arts, through understanding our history so we don't keep making the same poor mistakes, and figuring out how we can carve out a healthy, meaningful future. And even in these days, how to make our future possible with how we treat, the earth. How can we work together to make a future possible is, probably what we need to be thinking about. But yeah, I think when the government starts fucking up and trying to fuck the people over, we have a responsibility to ourselves and to our children and to our future, to not comply. So much of what our governments do require and rely on our compliance. So when I read stories about doctors who are like, fuck that, I'm going to give this woman this operation anyways because her life is being threatened or because it is her right to have it, and I'll just deal with the consequences. I love shit like that. And I love it because primarily, I think that I like it primarily because it's a reminder that not everybody has lost their fucking mind. And most people, I think, have not lost their minds. I think that if people were truly understanding the reality of a situation, and if you could just talk to people in terms of reality and remind them that a woman, a person, absolutely has a complete and total right to their own bodies, to the safety and health thereof. And It's to the benefit of everyone on the planet if that person is able and allowed to develop themselves, their senses, their abilities, their talents, and their knowledge, their intelligence, to develop themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually to the furthest extent of their own capacities. Like, as far as their ambitions will take them, they have the right to develop them, and it is to the benefit of people everywhere that they do so, that they follow their natural motivation and hunger for self-development through education and learning and practice and exploration. Not as a way to hurt fellow man, but as a way to improve themselves, their lives, and the lives of other people. That when you block people from pursuing education and self-development and mental, emotional, spiritual development, you are blocking humanity, because you have no idea what intelligences, what ideas, what dreams are buried inside of that person that you're blocking. I think about that a lot. I hope I did a good job of explaining it. But yeah, they rely on your compliance. Do you see how these politicians just do whatever the fuck they want? They, are very wanton in their abuse of power, lack of accountability, and in their breaking of laws. And they just keep going, like, who gonna check me type shit. That's how citizens have to be, I think. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not complying to that. And then we get into conversations about why we need to be able to protect ourselves, to bodily protect ourselves. Because what comes next is that if they can't get you to comply by scaring you with their threats and whatever actions they'll take against you, and sometimes even before they start making threats, they will attack you physically. So what do you do in those instances? Ideally, governments would be working for the freedoms and the longevity of the citizens. But I think that first you have to get people who don't literally hate parts of the population. Like, if I hate women, if I hate minorities, if I hate people who have come from other lands, even if I myself have come from other lands and my ancestors have come from other lands, if I hate people just off the basis, like, I don't know them personally, I just hate them. If I hate people who believe and worship differently than me, who appear and look and speak and communicate differently than me, people whose customs and their celebrations and their gods and their food and their lifestyles and their way of dress, you're different than me, so I hate you, then I'm not going to be working toward ensuring that your differences can be upheld, protected, that they can be not only maintained, but also celebrated, though they are different from mine. Well, then maybe I shouldn't be in fucking government. You're governing a diverse people, okay? And then you have Christian nationalists, white Christian nationalists, and their Heritage Foundation, I think, who are, they want a uniformity. They want people to conform, and it's never going to happen. Humans will always struggle for freedom. You have to be in reality and look at the reality of nature, and humans are part of nature. There is diversity in nature. It's not uniform. It's not everything the same. That is not how God created the world. But we're talking about people who use God and use some names of God, but don't actually believe in it. Don't actually believe in that force. Don't actually believe in anything that they're saying. They don't believe in heaven and hell. Some of them act like they don't believe they'll ever die, just amassing billions and billions of dollars while people starve on the streets. For what? Y'all don't believe in death? For what? For what purpose? Anyways, these are some of the things that have been on my mind. I want those of you who are creatives and thinkers, and especially those of you who feel kind of burdened by what's happening in this country right now, to spend time gathering books and materials, reading, researching, studying, especially getting hard copies of history books and encyclopedia. See if you can get history books that have diverse authorship, because you'll read some of these old encyclopedia and you just know it's a middle-aged racist white man who wrote it, okay? And you need to give yourself the benefit of diverse perspectives and diverse voices. Read novels, read fiction and read nonfiction. Create, write, paint, take pictures, record things for and keeping your future generations in mind. And make sure that you write down your recipes and your spells. And then hide it. In my app, Brujas, where I teach spirituality, witchcraft, and I give a lot of practical tips as well. One of the things that I recommend is that you put a curse on your book of shadows, and I teach you how to do that, so that anybody who goes through your book, accesses your book, takes possession of your book, steals it, or uses anything in it without your express permission, people who are not bone of your bone, blood of your blood, fruit of your womb, if they access your work without your express permission or by virtue and right of blood, then they will be cursed, and they are cursing themselves by knowingly using that or even if they don't know, even if they steal it and they didn't know it was cursed. So I teach you how to curse your book. And I recommend that you do that. And I recommend that specifically for people who are a little bit challenged by the idea of writing things down where other people might get to it. Write it down anyways and let them curse themselves. Especially these motherfuckers who don't really believe in anything. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the potential vengeance of this earth. They just want to ignore it. These people think that they're untouchable, and it's just not true. It's just not true. One of the best things you can do for yourself is learn to face reality, learn to be in reality, and to make absolutely good decisions. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me here for a couple of minutes. I'm going to enjoy the sun. I can see that I'm going to show you on the camera, but I can see that the rain is going to fall here any minute now. So I'm just going to chill until that happens. My car is right there. I'm going to jump in the car and go on about my business. Have a great day. Bye. You can see that the sky is getting a little dark coming in from the southwest. We have some thunderstorms, I think. Let me see what the weather app is saying. We're at 91 degrees with a 45% chance of rain. I think it's already raining because I can hear the thunder. I don't know if y'all can hear it. I just feel so grateful in this moment. I feel grateful for such a beautiful place. I'm in a bone city. I'm in a cemetery. I left my 9 coins. I got 9 quarters. Usually I would get like dimes or pennies, but I got me some 9 quarters because that's what I had. So 9 uniform coins. You can also drop some tobacco, or even leave a bottle, one of those little bottles of whiskey or bourbon or something good right at the gate. A nice little rum, something sweet like that. And you'll feel whether you should stay or leave. And if you get that feel like you're not welcome here right now, or they would like you to leave, then you leave. If you feel welcome, if you feel a sense of ease and peace, then you may proceed. But you always drop a little something for the man at the gate, for the one who manages and or like oversees the cemetery. There's some other things you can do to protect yourself when you go into a cemetery. I myself had a little incident happen last night. Let me tell y'all. Last night, I literally kept getting woken up. And I'm pretty sure it was spirits. At one point, I literally felt a tapping on my knee. Swear to God. Literally felt like my mom does this, you know? My mom is alive, but my mom does this. She'll like tap you on the knee. And I felt that last night. So after you leave a cemetery, especially if you know them spirits be trying to talk to you, and you don't want to take them home, you just do a nice little cleansing with some Florida water. Put some Florida water on your hand and just brush it down yourself. Or you can burn some herbs and run the smoke over yourself. You can cross over water. I think that's the one that most people swear by. Is you cross over water. And then the last one you can do is make 3 stops. So you just, before you go home, you just stop off a couple places, confuse the spirit, and send their ass back to cemetery. But you know, there are some people who believe there's not actually a lot of spirit activity in cemeteries. This is not really a place where a lot of spirits hang out. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think that there is something to be said about the spirit attachment to their own bones. So I don't know, but that's what some people say. Cemeteries are actually quite peaceful, and they don't have a lot of spiritual activity. That a lot of spirits will actually go back to places where, you know, a site of some really important thing happened to them in their lives, or they go and they find their kin. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for ease and peace. I'm grateful for this moment of sun and rain, of wind. It's a nice, good breeze, too, of breeze and humidity. I am grateful to be among the living and the dead. Grateful to know that I'm never alone. Grateful for my beautiful, brilliant, gorgeous little life. I am grateful for this moment in time where I get to connect with so many other believers, practitioners, theists, witches, hoodoo practitioners, root workers, conjurers, and spiritualists. I'm grateful for the magicians in my life, the people who really are tuned in and tapped in to the magical side of life. I'm grateful for art. I'm grateful for the stories that I get to enjoy over and over again. I'm grateful for the libraries that are still standing, the universities that are still standing, the hospitals that are still standing, the marketplaces that are still standing, for the gorgeous ways in which I'm able to still connect with people who I love. I'm grateful for their letters and their messages and their phone calls and their visits. Grateful for the beautiful memories that we create. Grateful for the ancient past and the ever future. I am grateful for my eternal life, and grateful for each and every one of my bodies and each and every one of my incarnations. I'm grateful for every single time that I've fallen in love and every time that I will fall in love in the future. I'm grateful to be in the gorgeous South. And I'm grateful to know that I am divinely guided and protected every step and turn of the way. And that God has no real enemies, at least none that can truly stand against her. And God cannot fail, and that I am one with God. Thank you for my beautiful, abundant life. Thank you for peace and health in the max. And thank you for guiding me to make wise decisions and good use of my resources and time. I release this prayer to law, trusting and knowing that it is made right, perfect, and exact, that it goes out in every possible direction to prepare my path and prepare my way, that I am safe and prospered, that I am favored and loved, that I am fortified, strengthened, and guided all the days of my lives. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Amen.